Hey, we're moving into the dramatic conclusion of Gauntlet III, the new batch. And from this point on, we're going to hit some issues, not with the game itself, but with the disk image I'm using. Certain graphics glitches start to occur and become more and more common, and I am fairly certain that the problem is the corrupted disk image, rather than the actual game itself breaking down on me. I've tried a few different copies of it that I could locate. All of them wound up having the same problem, and given that there's maybe 24 real copies of the game out there in the wild, they're probably all from the same source. So it may not be something that I can really do anything about. Oh, look at that, right off the bridge. So we're back to getting keys and working off a hub again. And while we wait for what will probably be the worst thing that you're going to see today, unless you're in a really bad place, let's hit that manual once more. So this particular land is, naturally, the Ice Kingdom. The bleak steppes and snowfields of the Ice Kingdom are treacherous and deadly. The inhabitants of these wastelands are equally harmful. Emerald crawlers scuttle from rock to rock looking for food, and fierce dragons use their powerful freezing breath to trap food. Great sorcerers live here too, seeking the isolation that they need to prepare their grim necromancies and wizardry. The conditions are always cold and difficult, but the hazards of snow, ice, and sudden ice slides can make even a simple travel a nightmare. Whatever clue to the defeat of Capricorn lies here will be dearly earned. Yeah, just walking around those forever. And since I know I'm coming back, I actually wind up trying to keep the food behind me, given that I'm almost at full health here. And let us take a look at what they say about the monsters that live here, or at least the sorcerers, who presumably are the guys in the robes. Sorcerers. Legions of sorcerers have dedicated themselves to serve the Lord of Decay, and they have brought much misery to Capra's innocent peoples. Their fire spells are deadly, even to a well-armored opponent. They don't shoot any fire in this game. Apprentice sorcerers wear a hooded cowl, and learn the art of walking through walls. Once they have mastered this art, they become mages, and wear a pointed hat in recognition of their rank. So I guess I'm walking through walls. I guess I got the pointed hat. Sorcerer mages can teleport, seeming to appear and disappear at will, firing their bolts of plasma and then vanishing again. When they attack en masse, it is difficult to be sure how many there are as they shift from place to place faster than a man can blink. And I think that those guys are supposed to be... The other guys in here are supposed to be barbarians. Armed with crude spears, these poor wretches have been possessed by Capricorn. Nothing human remains within them, and they fight like automatons, capable of only killing or being killed. Yeah. It's always weird how the manuals describe a much better game than what you actually get to play. Okay. We still have 4 more heroes, the new ones to the game, that we need to learn about. The first one is Petrus the Rockman. As the first men were said to have been made from clay, so came to Capra a race of living rock who made their home in the mountain Ares and lived their millennia-long lives in peace. But during the wars that shook the island, even their remote homes were not safe, and they were forced to defend themselves. Now their warriors are among the most feared of all. And Petrus is the first among them, a giant of living granite. Armor, hard skin, excellent. Shot power, rocks, good. Hand-to-hand, stone club, excellent. Magic, poor. Shot speed, poor. I would say I should have taken him, but I suspect he's also probably the slowest one of all. Alright, we're about to hit the worst graphic glitch. Yes, that is the level. And since the path and collision is completely broken down at this point as well, I can't be sure what I'm actually supposed to be able to walk in and what I'm not. Even if the graphics loaded up correctly, I'd be walking off the screen a lot. Fortunately, by fumbling around in this for a while, I located the key, and I'm attempting to walk directly there. It's in the upper left-hand corner, and someday I will reach it. There's a lot of treasure chests that are hidden inside this muck, and most of those are poisoned. One other problem here is that I'm going to have to come back through this area to get to the final exit from this stage. So you are going to see this again. But I feel like I've come this far. I've got to get through this game. You just can't let it beat you once you've made it all this way. Just stumbling back and forth here, trying to find a path that goes up into the corner. I made it. Have I made it? Almost. I'm at the top. There's the key. Now I have to get all the way back. Oh, while we wait, let's get the next hero. Dracolis, the Lizard Man. Once Dracolis was a thief and renegade, despised for his sly ways, as are many of his swamp-dwelling people. After escaping prison, Dracolis turned over a new leaf and has been a friend to the poor ever since. Some say he can afford to be, since he always seems to know where there is treasure to be found, and his greatest acts of bravery have always been followed by a healthy increase in his bank balance. You have banks? I thought you just kind of stacked the treasure up somewhere. If there are banks, how come the bad guys don't keep their money in a bank? Anyways, his armor is chains, or excuse me, just chain singular, good. Shot power, fire, good. Hand-to-hand, dagger, poor. Magic, poor. Shot speed, moderate. He's the only guy to rank a moderate in anything. Hey, what do you know? There were a few more enemies hiding in this thing. Let's describe a few of the enemies that we still haven't hit yet. I don't think we talked about Poltergeist, which presumably that ball bouncing back and forth was supposed to be a poltergeist, but that's just a guess. Minor spirits have been animated by the presence of the Lord of Decay. Poltergeists have many ways of attacking the living, but it is part of their wicked sense of humor that they enjoy inhabiting large boots, driving them to kick out at their victims. Finding the actual exit point is probably the hardest part here. It's here somewhere. I just have to touch it, and then I am free of this graphics glitchy mess. You see, my shots don't seem to go anywhere. They're being blocked most of the time by something. There we go. Freedom. Of a sort. There's only one more region in this area to get through. And then I have to go back through the glitch zone again. Leaving that potion behind reminds me, I don't think we talked about what the manual tells us about these potions. Capran magic depends for its potency on distilled essence from the dark dimensions. Properly concocted, this essence loses its evil power and becomes a tool of a purer magic. Alchemists brew the essence into potions, and these grant the power to cast great magics. Of course, one trained in the lore of magic will make better use of this power than one untrained. The potion can either be drunk for maximum effect, or just destroyed so that the distilled essence acts immediately on whatever creatures are within range. Capricorn's mad genius has found a way to corrupt some potions so that they disable anyone who drinks them. On the other hand, there are potions which grant greater powers than normal. By combining arcane essence with other ingredients such as dragon wing. The last key. Alchemists have created potions that improve heroes' fighting powers. A potion concocted from essence and eagle's feather, for example, grants the user lightning-fast shot speed, while another distilled from essence, lion's blood, and turtle shells can make even a weak fighting man into a mighty warrior. So apparently some of these things improve stats, but it's not always clear which one. Other potions grant their power to manipulate even greater sums of magical energy or to fire massive missiles at the foe. These special potions grant their powers for only a little while, but they are an important aid in the fight against Capricorn, whose agents will seek to destroy them when they can. From what I've seen even of the Amiga and Atari ST versions, this stuff isn't in them either. For getting out of this area, I just need to go to the upper right. And the exit sign will appear there, and we'll get into the final kingdom. Assuming I can ever find it. And we're out. So, shall we see what this kingdom is? Okay. You can see the enemies here are completely glitched on me. There's a couple areas where you'll see them normally, but that's it. So this location is the first of the 4 theme parks at the Walt Disney World Resort in Bay Lake, Florida. It opened October 1st, 1971, designed and built by WED Enterprises. That's the other Magic Kingdom. This Magic Kingdom is the Kingdom of Magnus, the Wizard Eternal. It is strange indeed. Its people live in gingerbread cottages, and yellow brick roads lead to an endless gallery of entertainments. Finally, he built a fantastic castle, both as a monument to the peace and his home. There he placed the great bar to the dark dimensions and sealed it with a bronze key and a promise. Should there ever be war on Capra again, the bar would be removed, and all evil would spill out to consume Capra. Somehow this dreadful fate has come to pass, and Capricorn now sits upon Magnus's throne, protected by sorcerers, zombies, worms, sharkmen, and other evil. The final quest ends here, either in glorious success or shattering defeat. So these purple-robed guys are supposed to be Death, who you might remember from the previous Gauntlet games as a guy who would run up to you and drain all your life until he was sated and went away, or you had to blow him up with a magic potion. But here, it says about Death, the Velcrons are a race accursed. Their meddlings in best-forgotten arcane rituals have brought misery to millions, but in many ways they themselves suffered the worst. Once they were tall warriors, but their experiments with dark magic extinguished their strength. Then one final mad experiment taught them how to suck the very life force from other beings, and how to teleport it to the dark dimensions instantly, to rest and feed on that which they had stolen. The Velcrons are the greatest of all Capricorn's allies. They are immune to all physical challenge. Only magic can dissolve them. Their touch is death, and by that name they are also known. It is only to be expected that Capricorn will have many Velcrons guarding the most precious of his possessions. Yeah, so I got turned around a little bit here. I just have to walk out the way I came in. I guess this is supposed to be the yellow brick road. We're actually going to be coming up on time, the end of the game very quickly here, so let's get to the remaining 2 heroes so that you know what they're like if for some reason you ever wanted to play this game. Blizzard the Iceman. What motivates this redoubtable warrior? Who can say? His crystalline face betrays no emotion, nor does he ever show fear or doubt. Instead, he is always in the forefront of the fight against evil, a warrior dedicated to destroying those who would break Magnus's peace. His greatest weapon is the long knife he carries permanently, the slightest touch of which chills an enemy to the bone. Armor, ice-hard skin. Excellent. I actually passed the key I needed back there. You might have seen it on the screen briefly. So I'm going to wind up having to double back here. Blizzard's shot power. Frost. Poor. Hand to hand. That awesome dagger they described it about him. Poor. Magic. Poor. Shot speed. Excellent. So he's basically Questor the Elf, except better. Finally, there is Neptune the Merman. The Mermen of the Sea Kingdom, a proud and haughty people, were involved in many of the wars before Magnus came. Since the peace, however, they have recognized their faults. It is now part of their tradition that each prince of the blood should journey to among other lands to understand their peoples and to bring them aid where he can. Neptune is the greatest of all princes. made such a journey and never returned from it. To him, the best way he can serve his people is to destroy their current enemies far from the windswept waters of their homeland. We're coming really up to the end here. It's going to end quicker than you realize. You cannot walk off the path. It looks like you can, you can't. So Neptune's abilities, his armor are robes, poor, shot power, spell, excellent, hand-to-hand, trident, poor, magic, poor, even though he uses spells. Shot speed, good. I went the wrong way there. I actually had to take the other path to go up into the castle. There's no key required. And here we are, the final stage, with glitched out enemies. The graphics breaking down as I walk past. This game's barely holding together long enough for me to finish it, but I'm going to do it. I'm even going to walk the long way around just to extend the game a little bit further. Now, I guess you're wondering what final boss is here, what dramatic climax the game has. Well, there's something, a little slash, and you touch it, that's the end of the game. When you hit fire, it goes back to the title screen, and that's it. That's all there is to Gauntlet III. I'd say if you're going to play this, don't bother with the Commodore 64 version. Go to the Amiga, it might be a little bit better. But from what I've seen, and I haven't played it, it's not really significantly different.